Good morning. Good morning. I am Judy Frydland, Commissioner for the Chicago Department of Buildings. Thank you so much for joining us today. There has been a lot of interest from the building community about our code modernization, and we're very excited to share our progress with you. The idea for these events started months ago when we were still in the review process. We knew that architects and engineers would want to understand the changes in the rewritten code as soon as possible. And there has been a great deal of excitement about this new code, and so that's part of it. And so here we are, less than a month since the historic code modernization ordinance was passed by City Council. And we're ready to share a lot of detailed information with you today. I'm going to talk a bit about our process to modernize the Chicago Building Code and the benefits that it will bring to the building community, our department, and the city as a whole. Deputy Commissioner Grant Ulrich, who without him this code would have never happened, will detail the key changes to the code. This is the piece we know you're most interested in, and we will devote the majority of the presentation to this area. We also talk about our plan for future code updates and next steps. Today's session is being recorded and will be produced into a video that will be available on the Department of Buildings website. So please let your friends and colleagues know that they will be able to watch the session online in the coming weeks. We will send out a notification to our Constant Contact subscribers when the video is ready to be viewed on our website. For those of you that are not subscribers to our Constant Contact emails, I strongly urge you to go to our website and sign up. That way you get up-to-date information as it happens at the building department, and that will help you in your practice, and it will help improve the communication between all of us. Today, you'll learn how our consensus-based approach for updating the code with input from a wide variety of stakeholders kept the process moving forward and ultimately led to City Council approval. We'll go over the timeline for implementation and how the updated code will affect building projects today and in the future. The code modernization is critically important for Chicago's building industry and will have a long-lasting impact on design and construction in the city for decades to come. And not just downtown, but throughout the city, in every neighborhood, and on every block. We believe it's a win for everyone in Chicago's building community: homeowners, affordable housing advocates, developers, architects, contractors, building owners, and small businesses and preservationists. More important, or most important of all, it provides what the building and construction industry need most: certainty and predictability. For years, there has been a widespread recognition that Chicago is in need of a comprehensive, modernized code that is better aligned with national models and speaks the same language as everywhere else in the country. At the same time, we know that Chicago's existing code was very good and had evolved over time to respond to the city's unique urban environment and density. Our goal has been to keep parts of the existing code that work well, remove parts that have become antiquated, and adopt the terminology, framework, and classification systems that are used elsewhere in the country. We undertook this process knowing that it would be difficult, but well worth the effort for the numerous benefits that it provides. Aligning more closely with model codes provides many more resources for help both internal and external users understand what the code requires and why. This helps streamline the permit process further. It also provides more options to design and build with the widest range of cost-effective materials and technologies, while also enhancing building safety and promoting energy-efficient, sustainable buildings. It ensures that in Chicago, architects and builders have more flexibility to continue our long tradition of innovation in construction and design. And by aligning with national model codes, it will be easier for the building department to keep the codes up to date. This is a multi-year process. A lot has already been accomplished in a relatively short period of time, but we still have a lot of work to do. We started Phase 1 in 2015 as soon as I became commissioner with the electrical code and the conveyance devices code updates. At the time, the electrical code had not been updated since 1999. We started by reinstating the Chicago Electrical Commission in 2015 after a hiatus of 14 years. We worked closely with the Electrical Commission for over a year to review the existing code and how to best align it with national standards. Chicago became one of the first cities to adopt the 2017 National Electrical Code. The changes to both the electrical code and conveyance device codes took effect in 2018, and the transition has been remarkably smooth. That brings us here today to Phase 2, which centers on Chicago's core requirements for construction, renovation, and maintenance of buildings. It includes updates to administrative provisions, the building code, energy conservation code, rehab code, and existing building code. The changes here are the main focus of today's presentation. The remaining code updates are part of Phase 3. This is planned to begin at the end of this year and continue through 2021. The important topics that will be addressed in Phase 3 include requirements for plumbing, mechanical, ventilation, refrigeration, natural gas, hazardous occupancies, signs, and trade licensing. We will also revisit the accessibility and energy conservation codes. And that will complete the current modernization effort. This is a big project, at least 13 different codes that together form the Chicago construction codes. However, the purpose of this project is not to create codes that we won't revisit for another 70 years. We'll be able to update much easier along with the rest of the country and the national models, and so that's another huge benefit, as you know, for us. The code modernization creates a new foundation and provides a framework to keep our codes more up to date and to take a more active role in driving development of the model codes. So we will have influence on the rest of the country as well, because we have so much innovation and design and expertise here that it'll be exciting to be part of the national conversation and to be a leader in it, I'm sure. Every big project must start with a good plan and a strong framework to build on. We know from the previous failed attempts to rewrite the building code that we were going to need an outline, an aggressive but realistic timeline, and a way to manage expectations in order to keep the project on track. The outline became the Code Modernization Handbook. Starting with a tangible, cohesive document where everything could go was one of the most important tools in this process. It created a framework and a path forward and helped establish what was and wasn't possible. We formed 6 technical working groups comprised of more than 80 architects and engineers from the private sector. They participated in weekly meetings with our staff for 3 months, from December 2018 to early March 2019. The working group members were incredibly dedicated and brought a wide range of insight to the process. During this time, we also met each month with about 70 industry leaders, including building owners, developers, labor leaders, design professionals, and affordable housing advocates. Each working group discussed their ongoing work and solicited feedback from the larger group. These meetings proved to be very valuable in helping to manage expectations and build consensus among a wide variety of interests. Together with the hard work of our technical working groups and the support of our stakeholders, we drafted a very large, monumental ordinance in a very short span of time, over 730 pages. On March 13, 2019, we introduced the ordinance to City Council. Leading up to and during the City Council meeting, we demonstrated to the aldermen that there was broad support for the ordinance throughout the building community. We gathered more than 25 letters of support and more than 350 signatures, and leaders came to the hearing to testify in favor of the ordinance. The ordinance was passed unanimously by the full City Council on April 10, 2019. It represents the full rewrite of the building code in 70 years. The The ordinance passage was a huge milestone, but our work is far from over. The ordinance is drafted to phase in over 14 months. The Energy Code updates will take effect for permit applications started on or after June the 1st. The administrative provisions will take effect July the 1st. We will invite a few projects to test the new code beginning in the fall. The code will become optional on December the 1st and mandatory for permit applications on August 1st, 2020. The retroactive minimum standards for existing buildings will be implemented in spring of 2020. In order for a smooth transition to occur, there will need to be training and support throughout the industry. The Department of Buildings will have a lot of work to do in-house to get ready for applications by December and inspections by December of 2020. For our self-certified architects and structural peer reviewers, the building department will offer update training at the end of the year. We expect the code to be published in a user-friendly format by the International Code Council in mid-October. A read-only version will be available for free, and full print and electronic versions will be available for purchase. Now it's time to cover the key changes in Chicago's new building code. Grant Ulrich, our in-house code expert, will lead this part of the presentation. We anticipate that you may have questions during the presentation. With this large of an audience, we ask that you hold your questions until the end of the presentation. Thank you, and without any further ado, I present to you Grant Ulrich. Thank you.